Hi there, it's Asia, and the question for today is, what can you do to give yourself the best chance of passing your IELTS exam? The very first time I took it was about 10 years ago. I lived in Kazakhstan and I needed this certificate to study for my master's degree in London. And I managed to pass the test with less than 2 weeks of preparation. I completed my master's. Today I live in London and my score is 8.5. I regularly retake the IELTS test and I can tell you it's still quite an intense experience. Today I'd like to talk to you about the main challenges you're likely to face in your exam and the main strategies you can use to overcome them. I also have a study plan for you to download. Okay? Let's get started. I retake my IELTS exam every year. And today my English is so much better than it used to be 10 years ago. But every time it's such a challenge. I feel all this pressure from the exam and I feel like I'm running out of time all the time. And I think it's quite likely you're gonna feel the same. So let's talk about each section and what you can do. In IELTS listening, time pressure is a big challenge. If you listen to the recording without any pressure, it's not that difficult. If you look at the questions, they're quite alright. It's when it all comes together that it becomes challenging. So I think in IELTS listening, a big advantage is knowing what questions are coming before the recording begins. And in the test, they don't give you enough time to read all the questions. Of course, at the beginning of each section, you will hear, and now please read questions from number 1 to number 8. And at the beginning, you may be able to do that. But later in the test, questions are long, options are long, and there is no way you can read all of that. But at the end of each section, they give you 30 seconds to review your answers. So I think you should spend that time on reading questions that are still coming. The truth is, if you missed a question or two, the probability of getting them later is pretty low. You'll be much better off clearly answering questions which are still coming. And you can still come back to those you missed late in the test. If you read the questions, if you try to memorize all the options, then you'll be able to navigate through your tasks much more efficiently. And you will feel that the pressure goes down because you know what you're listening about. I think it really helps. And if you're wondering if you're even allowed to switch to the next section, yes, absolutely. If you take a paper-based test, you get this brochure. You will write your name and the candidate number, and then at some point they will tell you that you may open it. After that, you can turn pages as you wish. You don't have to wait for a certain command to do that. If you take a computer-based test, then you will see a set of questions on the screen, and when you want to see the next set, you need to click on the question, for example, number 10, and the screen will change. So don't forget to do that because the screen will not change automatically. And at the end of the test, you still have time to review your answers. In a computer-based test, you have 2 minutes. You don't need to transfer your answers anywhere, so you have 2 minutes to check a couple of answers you missed and try to guess them from the context. In a paper-based exam, you have 10 minutes. Transferring answers to the answer sheet takes 2-3 minutes, so you have 7 minutes to go through all your questions if you wish. Before using this strategy in your exam, you should definitely try using it at home. And the best practice tests are Cambridge English. They are really the closest to the real exam questions. You should try to use recent books, number 15 and 16. In summer 2022, there will be a new book, number 17. There are several free tests, and you will get links to those in my study plan. They're helpful, but they're not exactly the same because they're several years old, like more than 5 years old. And of course, there are some tests written by some other companies or just published on some websites in the internet. The problem is that the level of difficulty there may be different, or there may be mistakes in questions. So the results may be misleading, and I really encourage you to use the official tests. Actually, these are the books. Academic and General Training, number 16. Let's talk about IELTS reading. One of the main challenges here is that there is a lot to read. You have 3 passages like that, 40 questions and 60 minutes to answer all of them and transfer your answers. If you take a general training test, your passages will be shorter, but you have 5 of them, so you also have a lot to read. And I think if you just try to read the passage and then answer the questions, it will just take you too much time. What you can do is you can concentrate on the questions. In IELTS reading, most questions come in order. You can read the question and then you quickly read the passage until you feel that the answer is somewhere here. Then you slow down, you read the question again, you read the sentence again, you locate your answer, then you read the second question and you continue reading the passage, and so on. In this case, you will always be looking for something. You will know exactly what you're looking for. I don't mean that you should look for a particular keyword. The truth is, all keywords in correct options will be paraphrased. That's the way this test is organized. But at least you will have the idea of what's important. And then you can ignore things which are not important. Another challenge of the reading test is that probably there will be words you can't understand. This section is the most challenging in terms of vocabulary. You need the widest vocabulary for your reading section. But if you're looking for a particular answer, then some unfamiliar words are irrelevant. You just move on. You know, the very first time I took my test, there were a lot of words I didn't know in the 3rd section. It was so hard. But I still managed to get band 8 in that test. So my strategy really worked. And you should try to do that too. It will help you to concentrate, it will help you to direct your attention to the right places, and it will help you to avoid this problem with unfamiliar words. One thing, when you read the instructions for the reading section, you'll see that you're going to have 3 sections and you should spend about 20 minutes on each section. The truth is, the first section is quite a lot easier than the last. So if you spend 20 minutes on the first, probably you're not going to have enough time for the last. So you should go through your test more quickly. Try to finish the first section in about 15 minutes, 20 for the second, 25 for the third. Or if your English skills are good, try to go through your questions even more quickly. And if you can't locate an answer, move on to the next question and then you will return to those at the end of your test. In my test, there are always questions I can't answer straight away, probably 3 or sometimes even 5, and I return to them at the end. It really works much better because at least you answer 35 questions already, and then yes, maybe you answer the remaining 5, maybe not. In any case, you're gonna get a great score. Let me quickly mention which questions actually come in order. So most of them. True, false, not given, yes, no, not given questions. Missing information or filling the gap. Multiple choice questions. Notes. Diagrams. All those questions are in order. But matching information questions are not in order. For example, matching headings. Here, you should read one paragraph, then match it to the heading, read the second paragraph, match it, and so on. In this case, you don't have one question, but at least you have one paragraph to concentrate on, and you'll be able to work with the task more quickly this way. And at the very end of your test, you may get several questions which are not in order, because these are the hardest questions of your test. Most of them are in order. IELTS writing. I think this is the main challenge of the IELTS exam, but many people don't know about it. I remember when I was preparing for my first exam, I knew I couldn't answer all the questions in IELTS reading. I knew that IELTS listening was a challenge. I knew I couldn't speak fluently. But IELTS writing, well, I could write something like whatever. And I got my lowest score in IELTS writing, just like most people do. The thing is, there is a big mismatch between what IELTS candidates think they may need and what IELTS examiners know they need. IELTS candidates often think that the problem is that they don't know enough about those topics. But IELTS examiners don't say, oh, he didn't know much. Here is a low score. No, they say, well, ideas were there, but they were not developed. The position was not clear. Ideas were not linked together. And in task 1, there was no overview. The requirements are much more precise. The truth is, in IELTS writing, you're marked on your English skills and also on your writing skills. 50% of your score depends on your vocabulary and grammar, or your English skills, so you need complexity and accuracy for a high score. But 50% of the score depends on how well you write your answers. Do you fulfill all the requirements? Do you link ideas? Do you develop ideas? Is your essay logically organized and easy to follow? You can learn how to fulfill all these requirements pretty quickly. And I think you should really spend some time on preparing for IELTS writing. You know, I've spent several years looking for the best strategies to pass the IELTS exam, and over the years I've created a number of courses. 80% of information there is about IELTS writing. That's because step-by-step preparation really helps there. I'll link my courses in the description, but with a course or without a course, here is what you should do. First of all, you should learn what the requirements are and how to fulfill them. Then, you need to write more quickly. So you should learn what you write about in each paragraph of your task 1 and task 2. Then you should learn what types of tasks you may get in task 1 and task 2. Then when you see the task, you know exactly what to do straight away. It saves time. You should read some well-written answers to know what you're aiming for. And then you should practice, and really spend enough time preparing for IELTS writing. Let's talk about IELTS speaking. This is a face-to-face interview with an examiner. Or is it? Is it actually an interview? I've taken it a number of times, and it's not like any other interview where you expect that you will get a question, you have time to answer it, and then the next question and so on. No. In IELTS speaking, you sit there constantly bombarded by questions. And quite often you hear the next question before you finished your answer. The examiner may interrupt you any moment. And this is normal. It doesn't really mean that your answer was incorrect. It just means that they need to move on to the next question. After all, in IELTS speaking, it's the examiner who manages the time. So each part may not last more than 5 minutes in parts 1 and 3, so 2 minutes in part 2. And the examiner has to ask you questions on a certain number of topics. So if your answers are too long, they will interrupt you. You should practice your answers at home. You should practice with the timer, answering common questions, answering difficult questions from recent exams. I have a number of videos about them. But don't concentrate on part 1 too much. After all, this part is to warm up. These are parts 2 and 3 that will really reveal your score, and it's important to talk for the full 2 minutes in part 2. Whatever question you get, so you should practice doing that at home. You should practice giving longer answers, developing your ideas in part 3. And if you don't live in an English-speaking country yet, you need to practice talking every day at home for 15 minutes, and it will help you. And one more tip. Many people feel that they don't know what to say because they want to say something smart. It's an exam after all. It's not that kind of exam. Being talkative is the best thing in IELTS speaking. Don't be smart, be chatty, and you'll pass it. The exact steps you should take in your preparation depend on how much time you have before your exam. So I've created 3 IELTS study plans for 7 days, 1 month, and 3 months. And you can download yours if you follow the link here. And my IELTS preparation courses are linked in the description. Please check them out if you're interested. And thank you for watching me today. Good luck with your preparation and your exam. Bye!